welcome back to RC Icons. You guys are going to have to excuse my voice. I've been fighting a cold for the past 4 days. By the time you see this video, the cold will be gone and I'll be healthy again. So you guys can say get better in the comments, but I will already have been better. Because you won't see this for another 3 weeks probably. But today's video is this. And what is this? So, you guys probably remember, if you're long-term subscribers, for about a year and a half, I've been promising to convert an old ratty Tamiya TRF 211 XM to a 201 XMW, which is the mid-motor black aluminum gearbox, which is very rare. It's only used in the XMW and the 211 XM. And this one is for Glenn. I have this car. You guys will see mine in this video along with this car. But I've had all the parts and pieces to build this for him for a long time. And been promised it probably a year and a half ago and just never got around to actually physically doing the conversion. So that's this video. I'm going to take the 211. I'm going to strip it down 100%. And I'm going to rebuild it back up as the XMW. I believe I did a gear diff in here, so I had both the ball diff and the gear diff, and I believe I have the gear diff in here, which may be the same as the TA06. But yeah, the build came out awesome. Brand new chassis. The car's a near mint, and I say that because the motor mount has a little bit of wear on it, and then the aluminum rear uprights have a little bit of wear, but the aluminum rear uprights that you were able to get on Tamiya USA for the past 2 years for $12 are now sold out and discontinued and are fetching over $125 a set now on Buy and or eBay. When they were $12, I had bought a shitload of them, like literally like 15 sets. At this point I've put aside all of the sets that I need for my TRF collection, and I've given the extras away because everybody is still looking for those, and they were available for years for $12. So I guess at this point kind of is what it is. If you don't have them, you're gonna end up paying for them because they're expensive. I need to say a thank you to Jason at Jay's Quality Parts. So he originally started this project and sourced all the parts and pieces. Along the way, I had found another XMW on Buy for decent money. I think it was less than $400. So what I did was I bought that one and I sent that one to Jay with the new chassis, I believe. And that's his XMW, and then he sent me the project one, which is this one, which I grabbed essentially to help Glenn finish his TRF collection. And so Jason has a medical condition that makes it real hard for him to work on some of these cars. So for him, it was better to have just a finished car than it was a project. So for me, it worked out great because it gave me content and, you know, the ability to build one because my XMW came built. So this is the first and probably only XMW I'll ever get to build, right? So came out great. I'm going to bring the camera over. I had to search through my wheels, the other thing that's hard now. So the pink front DN01/201 wheels are still available, but the rear pin-ons are now discontinued. So these could be used on any of the 5 Series cars, the DB Series cars, whether it's 01 or 02. You used to be able to get them in yellow, black, pink, and white. For whatever reason, they discontinued the pink rears, but you can still get the pink fronts. When you can find them, white, yellow, and black are still available, I believe. Black may be discontinued as well, but I don't think so. So Tamiya is really getting to the point to where they're not leaving us many options short of converting the wheels over to hex, right? Which would be non-Tamiya. Not the end of the world, but when you're doing a TRF collection, you kind of want to have as much as you can be actual Tamiya. the other part of it is I did not put oil in the shocks because Glenn likes to lower his cars, and I didn't want him to have to mess with oil. So Glenn, if you're watching this, when you get the car, there's no oil in the shocks. So if you want to open them up and put spacers in, feel free. So let's get the camera brought over. I'll show you the car real quick, and then we'll get into the build. And I think that's it. I don't think I'm going to do a closing. I think it's just going to end with the end of the build. So if you're not already a subscriber, I'd ask you to consider subscribing to support the channel. Let me know in the comments what you think of the end result. And other than that, throw us a thumb up or a thumb down. Totally up to you. Let's get the camera over here. Alright, so now that I have you in position before we get to the actual build part of it. So this is our chassis. I did put a servo in there, brand new servo, just to hold the wheels. He'll have to mess with camber and all that stuff to get it looking right. It's always easier when there's tires on it. But yeah, that's the XMW. So the TRF 211 XM has the same black metal gearbox. The 211 XM. The 201 XM, people think it's the same gearbox in blue. It's actually a little bit different. It does not bolt up to an XMW, I don't believe. So there are some differences between the black alloy gearbox, mid-motor gearbox, and the blue one. So it's hard to it's hard because some people will be like, well, the XMW I think it was only offered as a kit in the United States. Other than that, it was offered as a conversion for the 211 XM. So the 211 XM came with the white plastic chassis you'll see in the video. You could buy a conversion kit to a 201 XMW conversion kit to go to the metal chassis. But as far as I know, it was never offered as a kit except for in the United States through Tamiya USA. And there might not even be a kit number for it. And I might be completely wrong on that, but if my memory serves me correct, that is correct. Most of the XMWs came from conversions like I did. The one I have is an XMW kit that was built. So yeah, that's the car. I did a carbon front tower. That's not part of the kit. That's Nick Walker front shock tower right there. The rear shock tower is part of the kit, if I'm not mistaken. And then I did this is custom RC parts rear hinge pin bracket. You can't find the rear ones anymore. The Tamiya ones are hen's teeth. You can find the fronts, the XAs and the XBs easy enough, but the rear one you just cannot find. And I actually had a rear one that was on my XM, the 211, but it was worn. So I sent that one to Gareth as a gift for one of his runners, and I put custom RC parts. So the Nick Walker front shock tower and the custom RC parts rear hinge pin bracket are not Tamiya. And then these battery posts, so I had all the uprights, everything Jason was able to source except for the battery posts. So these are not Tamiya battery posts. These are actually Exotech, and I had to shim them up with spacers underneath, blue spacers, to get it to the right height. But all four look the same. I think it came out great. Looks good. Same color blue. So if you weren't like a Tamiya purist, you'd never be able to tell that is what I did. And then some of the hardware changed. Most of it is Tamiya hardware. I just know some of the nuts on the top, I was missing some 3mm nuts, so I ended up having to go silver. I was trying to find blue ones because the kit ones are blue. But I didn't have any, and I wasn't going to order some. So yeah, that's it. I mean, the chassis is absolutely gorgeous. So if you guys don't know, Glenn at Tamiya Legends, he's got a 201 that's stretched 8mm with the Exotech extension. He's got an XR, he's got an XM, and he's got a 211 XM. I helped him with most of that stuff. We did some trades and some horse bartering back and forth, but he said he wasn't really interested in an XMW because it was very close to the XM. And he is right, it is very close, but having the black chassis or gearbox instead of the blue one is a big difference. And then, yeah, it's just something about having them all, I think is cool. So, and then actually the gearbox brace, this brace right here, between the XM kit, let's see if I can get it. This brace right here that covers the motor, between the XM kit and the 211 XM is different. So you can see there's an extra hole in the chassis. So the kit comes with 3 holes in that brace, and then the one that comes off the 211 only has 2 holes. So that hole is the only difference between a real XMW metal chassis and an XM chassis. So some people will want to do an XMW, find a black gearbox and bolt it up to an XM chassis, and you can do that, but you're only going to get the 2 screws in the bottom instead of the 3. So if you're a Tamiya purist and you're looking at a metal chassis like this and it's a TRF 200 series car, if you've got 2 holes right here, then it's an XM chassis, and if you've got the 3, then it's a true XMW chassis. And they're very hard to find. Very hard. I have another one for mine because mine is scratched. But trying to find a real XMW chassis again is like hen's teeth. It's nearly impossible at this point. So yeah, that's it. I'm gonna pan over here and let you guys see the build. So basically, I just did some video clips and it's a voiceover, but I think we got some good content as far as the build goes. And we've got one more car we've got to kind of get together that's gonna go with this one. And so you guys will see this again in that video, just kind of on the table. But yeah, I'm going to get to the next one so that we can get these shipped off to him. And hopefully this will help get Glenn back in front of the camera to do some videos for us. Because I know if you guys are like me, you miss seeing his ugly mug on the face every Saturday and Sunday. So yeah, that's going to do it. Bring on the build, and we'll see you in the next video. Thanks. So as we get started with the build, we see the donor 211 here on the table, along with all the parts that Jason compiled for us as part of this build. And I do have an XMW manual to work off of. So yeah, again, Jason at Jay's Quality Parts got all these parts together. We start the build with getting the slipper clutch and gearbox together. And then we assemble the rear shock tower and wing mounts along with the rear upper arms. Once that's done, we have to get the 2 mated together. They go into the chassis as one unit. So we get that screwed together, and then it's a matter of getting the chassis prepped for assembly. So we put the chassis guards on. We put the rear not upright, but gearbox mount on, and we get the rear arms on. Like I said earlier, the rear hinge pin bracket is from Custom RC Parts, Bora. He does an amazing one, and to find a Tamiya one is just about impossible. So at this point, we're going to take that rear gearbox assembly, and we're going to actually get it bolted to the chassis. Now, my camera skills aren't the best right here, but you'll see as the frame opens up, we do have it in place, and then it's just a matter of getting it screwed in. So as we continue to move forward with the gearbox screwed in and the brace in place, the next step is getting the bell cranks built. So this is where I get the bell cranks actually assembled, and then we're going to get them mounted to the car here in the next step. So this is the bell cranks actually mounted. Everything's nice and free, all ball raced. It would have been nice to get Glenn some aluminum ones, but they're absolutely impossible to find and huge money. So in this step, we get the front arms in place and attached to the bell cranks. And now it's time to get the front upper bulkhead put together with that beautiful piece of Nick Walker front shock tower carbon. So we get that all mounted up, and the front of the car is really coming together at this point. The next step is to get a servo mount in there. I really wanted to have a servo in there to hold the front wheels for Glenn. So I put a brand new, whatever it is, 9K short servo, same ones I use in all the cars. And at this point, the car is pretty much assembled short of the battery strap. So as I'm looking at the 211, I realize that I need to make some battery posts, and I don't have the Tamiya ones. So Jay had some Exotech ones in there, but they were going to require some spacing on the bottom. So you can see a bunch of blue standoffs or spacers essentially that went in under the posts, and I was able to get the carbon battery strap in place. So in this picture, the bottom car is my XMW, and obviously the top car was Glenn's.